Yo, what's up? How you doing? In this video, I'm going to show you a couple tips that I found on how to cast further. Roll the intro. Here's a couple tips on how you can take a spinning combo and cast a little bit further.
Tip number 1.
On every single spinning reel, there is a preferred line weight. Now, most of the time, this is imprinted on the spool itself. So look closely. This is our 1000 series reel. In this particular case, the suggested line is gonna be 6 pounds.
Now, Rick, does that mean I could only use 6 pound on this reel?
No, of course not, of course not. But that's the suggested line diameter for the optimal performance of this reel. I have seen time and time again folks come in for me to do a little reel repair, and I look at their 500 series reel or even 1000 series reel, and I see like 40-pound monofilament on this baby. Obviously, if you have big old spaghetti diameter line on a little reel like this, it's not gonna wanna cast really far. So choosing the optimal line for that reel.
Tip number 1.
Tip number 2.
Make sure that you're spooling your reel all the way full. Now, what I mean by all the way full is obviously not completely coming off the edge or off the lip, but what I like to do is use about the thickness of a penny, which is roughly 1/16 of an inch. So you fill your line all the way up on the spool, leaving about a 1/16 of an inch from your line to the outside of the spool. As you start to get catches, as you start to put new baits on and your line starts to dwindle down on your spool, you're gonna notice that the optimal performance on that line, as you're going to cast it, your casting is gonna get a lot shorter. So tip number 2 is spool your reel up all the way.
Tip number 3.
Make sure that you're using the proper reel for the proper size bait. Even if I have a 3000 series reel with, say, 4-pound test line on it, I personally am not gonna be using it to cast a 1-inch micro bait. I found that if you use a medium size or even a micro size reel, you're gonna get more casting distance out of a smaller size reel for a smaller size bait.
Tip number 4.
Make sure that you're using the proper size rod. If we're casting a 1/64 ounce head with a 1-inch mini crawl on a 7-foot medium rod, you're not gonna get as much casting distance out of something like a 5-foot or a 6-foot micro. Also, the action of the rod plays a huge role. Something that's more heavy or more of a backbone to it, where it's sturdier and harder to bend that rod. When you're casting micro size baits like this, you're gonna get a lot more distance out of a more flexible style rod. Something like a micro or even a light action. Fast action tip is preferred. That means that tip is nice and fragile, real high action, and real sensitive.
Tip number 5.
If you're casting a micro size bait, again, picking on the mini crawl here, you can add a little weight to your presentation by adding a float. Now, some guys swear by the old Sheffields. These are the foam style floats, little egg style float, or I recommend what's called a rocket bobber. Now, our rocket bobbers here, you can attach this to your line and cast it. It's made and designed to go aerodynamic in the air so that when you're casting it, it's not fumbling around. It's made to catch the wind and go. It's designed aerodynamically, which equals longer casts. So do you have any tips that you can add to the list? Make sure you type those in the comments below. We hope this video was helpful to you. Make sure you subscribe and smash that thumbs up. Ring that notification bell so you're getting all the notifications. Share it with your favorite friend, and we will see you on the next one.